Hello, I'm Eagle. Eagle Gardens 1 on Instagram. This is fucking Talking Shit with Eagle, episode 412.5, the wormhole. A little bit of background music here. Cheers, everybody. Hopefully, we got a few of you popping back in. Jack Green Stock will be popping in a minute. CJ Apple, there's a day one right there. Tons and tons of respect for you, my friend. Need to get you on the show. Need to get you on the show, CJ. T Barrington, tons of respect for you as well. Australian grown, ill juster. What is up with you? Just getting things warmed up a little bit. Tyler Teasley, how are you doing? Nice to see you in chat. Seems like it's been a minute. Trying to get my chat all set up here. Still in top chat. What the fuck is that top chat even about? Australian girl. Cheers to you again. Up here. How was you guys today? What you guys smoking on? What are you guys smoking on? The few of us, the 8 of us that are currently in the show chat. Man, I fucking lost my head. Cheers, cheers, cheers. Oh, man. Had a pretty good day. Been working like a horse, man. You too, my friend. Good for you. Buddha boy, cheers to you, please, daily. How you doing? Man, it is fucking hot as fuck in this fucking garden. Abnormally hot up in here in northern Michigan. Hopefully this isn't a trend. Haze does save lives. I agree there. 72, holy fuck right now. That is not a low time temperature. It's usually like 55 up here. Bruce Banner, Coyote Gorilla. That sounds good. Introvert Genetics, cheers to you as well. Black Jet Fuel. Sounds interesting. Mr. Jack Green Stock popping in. Let me get talking. I think he's coming there yet. What up, Jack?
Not much. Cheers, Eagle. How you doing?
Cheers. How you doing?
I'm good. About to start puffing on some OG. Jade OG in this case. What you toking on over there? I was just listening to the GMX interview as well.
Nice. I think this is a 6-shooter here. I grabbed a little bit of a 6-shooter for this one.
It looked good. Shout out to My Herbs Now. I saw your banner in the background maybe yesterday or earlier. But it's always cool when you could have a photo posted from just a few days ago and be like, yeah, I'm smoking on that picture you just saw a couple days ago. And it's fucking already good. Just
I always forget about
welcome.
My Herbs Now banner in the background most nights. It's great, you know. I do support them. Don't get me wrong. But I'm not sponsored by them or nothing. But it's perfect to just block that area. You know what I mean? There's a lot of junk shoved under there. So why not make it more canvasy, right? That's the way I see it. And helpful. Anyway.
And he gets so much flack online. And if we do support him, I think it's cool to not like be pushing it, but show in the background that you don't think it's garbage like a lot of people claim, at least. And on the other hand, we both support it and do think it's good, which when we can give him at least that nod, there's enough haters out there. So for a few experienced growers to say, hey, we think it's good, it supports somebody in our community who's a Michigan guy and I think makes a great product. So I'm always happy to give him a little plug here and there, even though I don't get anything from it either. It's just sharing. I only ever share products if I think that they will help. Yeah, exactly.
drinking some water tonight, man. It is fucking hot as fuck in here, man. Shoot. I was telling GMX before a show, this setup the way it is right now is usually the way it runs. It usually runs half and half. And then because of the winter months and I don't know, things worked out where it was fine, everybody popping at night, you know what I mean? But the lung room, and well, at least it is a hot night, but the lung room set up right now with everything pumping at once is we getting a little warm in here the last few nights. So either half have to go back to day, night type of setup, or I'm going to have to fucking get an air conditioner since we're straight out and put in here.
Dude, I'd go 50-50. Fuck that. Don't run AC. If you've been able to get away with it for this many years, just go back to the 50-50. It'll be inconvenient for the first cycle or two, but I just let them all go dark for a day or two in those tents and then put them back where you want them, whatever day or hour. You say like half of them come on at 8 a.m., half of them come on at 8 p.m. or whatever it is that you prefer, and reset that way for the ones that you have to change the cycles on.
I think some of that has a little bit to do with me falling behind on things there. Because, you know, and before it was beautiful, man. Fucking, doing whatever during the day. Fucking, you worked in that end. You know what I mean? At less than the nighttime load. But now, fucking daytime hours, it's like, oh, fuck. Bench work's done. So I have to wait till later on tonight, hopefully, before the show to get a little bit of work in before we go live. Yeah, you're probably right. 50-50. Cheers, Sal.
What's up, Eagle, Jack? Everyone in chat?
Good to see you, Tao, as always. My Amy Aces are looking very happy and healthy and veg right now.
All right, cool.
Creeping along, but they're about to get put into the bigger space.
Excellent.
I always to get Tao in here once in a while, man. It seems like it's been a stretch, brother. Seems like it's been a
dude.
stretch.
It's good to be here. Yeah, I had a lot going on. And now I got other stuff. I found my brother is a little fucked up, and he has diabetes, and he had like this sore on his foot, and basically he just refuse to go to the doctor. So time passes, he's all fucked up, shaking and shit. I had to take him to the doctor. I took him to the walk-in place, and they're like, yeah, go right to the emergency room. So he's all messed up. But
they ain't gonna have to amputate or nothing fucking crazy like that, are they? That shit can get out of hand.
Yeah, I don't know. Exactly. Yeah. Do you know what sepsis is?
That's what my dad died from.
Oh shit.
My dad one.
Yeah.
It's a blood infection.
Yeah. So they
it's
were
not
thinking,
good.
Yeah, it's not good. So they're giving him crazy antibiotics or whatever. And but they're thinking it might not even be coming from the foot. So, but yeah. It's because he didn't go to the doctor. He's an idiot.
It's unfortunate, man.
Either way,
but
if you can get him some RSO, I know that it might be hard. I don't know if you make it there or not, but RSO has been shown to really help a lot of like the infections, antifungal and anti-whatever. It's just, I think some people's best chance in some of these worst cases, and we have the right to try now in all 50 states. So
he won't even take it. It's very different. Yeah, he has dyslexia, and he was just misdiagnosed until he was like in high school. So he has like he's like, yeah, I don't know how to explain it, but he's kind of like in his own little world. And he won't do any of that shit. He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't even do a capsule. But
cheers, Sergeant Pepper. And I hope your brother gets better there, Tal.
Thanks, yeah. Oh,
cheers,
the good
guys.
news is I just infused oil, so that's good news.
You got some cookies on the way, or what are you planning with that?
Yeah, cookies every time.
Do you ever tweak or play with the recipe, or is it just your go-to? You know it.
Well,
the wheel. You don't reinvent the wheel, right?
Well, no. So there was 2 changes. So the one recipe, I found another one that was actually a cannabis a coconut double chocolate chip cookie recipe, and it was almost exactly the same. I used the same amount of butter. So I just made, to make it easy, I switched to that one now. And the major difference is it doesn't have any brown sugar in it. It has all white sugar, which definitely helps with the taste, and probably with the it's probably not very good, but yeah. And sorry, Sergeant Pepper, how you doing, dude?
Good, man. Good. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm hanging in there.
Yeah, keep your head up,
Hanging
man.
in there.
It sounds like I walked in the tail end of the story, man. I'm sorry.
No, not at all. No. We were done.
What up, Peppa? It's been a minute, man. Always a pleasure, man. It almost feels like 100 era episodes here, man. With these 4, man. It's been a minute since these guys. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah,
I was
it
like
has
5
been a
and
minute.
50. I was a surprise pop in on episode 5 because the guest canceled, and I showed up for like what ended up being like another 4 hours or 3 hours on a 4-hour episode, which then became like the standard for a while till Rasta Bob came and fucking held it down like a boss.
Gosh.
You still hold the standard. I think he just holds the record for single episode.
That was impressive for a solo one-on-one to not be like a 24-hour show.
Oh, man.
Yeah, the
Sergeant,
last time
Howard,
I saw Sergeant, he had that room full of, I mean, it was just full of buds. How'd that harvest go, boss?
It's good, man. It was good. I feel like it did well. There was a couple little buds here and there that had like a little bit of heat stress and stuff. I probably pushed a little bit too hard with the LEDs as far as keeping them lower on the canopy, but for the most part, man, everything was still pretty terpy, pretty dense. I couldn't complain. You know, it could have been a hell of a lot worse, that's for sure, because I had some technical issues, but I feel like every fucking run, something goes wrong, whether it's a fan, a DU, whatever the fuck it is, something's always going wrong. All you can do is keep your head up and move your ass when it happens.
Yeah, pretty much. Vigilant. You got to be vigilant.
Sarge, do you
it makes me feel better, Sarge. Even the automation can slip. I mean, it makes me feel some better. It does.
Oh, yeah, man.
Hey, Jungle Boy
No,
and
not at all.
Canico and a lot of facilities watch their automated watering systems just to make sure the shit doesn't fuck up. So it can definitely mess up, and it's often good to be there and watch it happen if you're available. Not necessary. You can go on vacation and it can work just fine, but it's good to have supervision if you're home and available around the plants. Like, why not make sure the system's all working well, right? But okay, I had another thought I wanted to say. Sorry, go ahead.
I feel rude for cutting you off now, Jackson. But I was just gonna say, it just goes to prove, though, you can't take the human out of it. Though you can automate, but you know, still should check in, right? Isn't it?
For me, most of my issues were my dehumidifiers. I sized up a hell of a lot more plants and didn't size up the dehumidifiers appropriately, so they were working constantly. And then I had to throw a third one in, and you know how expensive those DUs are, Evil. They're expensive as shit, those portables. So I finally said, fuck it, this run. And I spent a little coin, but it was worth it. And I got a Quest dehumidifier. I know some people like Gandon. Quest is the one that I picked. That's the one I went with. I will say, when it turns on, that shit works. And like those 70-pint portable DUs, they're great, man, and they worked. But what happened with me was I kept adding and adding and adding and adding and adding. Those fucking portable DUs were just like, hey, take it easy. And then not only that, my irrigation wasn't dialed the way it is now. I tried to redo my bubblers multiple times, and I just couldn't get the watering to go evenly. And since I switched to micro drip, I mean, fuck. I want to say I went from changing out my res every 3.5, 4 days to every 6 days now. So I'm pretty happy about that.
Nice.
Yeah, well, what happened to me
How's-
recently, the timer in veg clicked to 24 hours. Like, you know, like there's a switch on the side where you can make it either timer or manual. I
Right.
guess, or timer or on. I was clicked to on. I didn't know. I didn't realize it. But like, I don't even know how long it was like that. But my plants were getting ugly looking. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? And yeah, I figured it out, and I switched it, and it got all better. So
Yeah,
I've
you
had
that
the
was
probably
human
exact
error
same thing
too.
happen to me.
yeah, that's happened before. Like I remember when I first started messing with LEDs, there was a HLG 600, that one in particular. I didn't realize the hot spots that it had towards the middle. I thought it was a little bit more forgiving, and I cranked it up. And then I remember all my plants that were under that 600 had all this purple stemming, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Because all the rest of them were just fine. And then when I turned on that light, that's when I figured it out. And, and that's when I was new with all that shit, learning, getting little Lux apps, all that good jazz. But I will say, too much light. There is such a thing as too much fucking light. That's for sure.
That is true. Sarge, do you follow that dude who, you remember that video where the dude's like, they call him like young Terps or whatever? Okay,
Wait. You
well,
talking about the guy? Wait, you talking about the rap guy? The guy who did the Terp video? He's like,
You know, he
yeah,
Terps
speaks
on Terps.
Turpanese.
yep,
Yeah, that shit
Turpanese.
was hilarious, dude. That shit was
Dude,
hilarious. I
I
don't follow
found
that guy,
him
but
on
that was funny though.
Instagram today, and he's actually pretty fucking funny. Like, I don't follow him either, but like that dude's crazy. He was like spinning a torch that was lit around his fucking finger, and then he'd like heat up the fucking nail with it and drop a dab in there. But he's kind of a wild individual. It was I watched a few of the videos, and I will admit I was entertained, but not enough to follow. That's not my kind of content personally, but definitely got a few laughs.
I know what you mean. That's awesome. Yeah, I forgot all about that shit. Like, that was so funny when he dropped that. I want to say like at least 10 people I knew reposted that damn thing. It was so funny.
So I have another question because you're with Science now, and Sergeant Pepper, who's on Growing with My Fellow Growers on Sunday, was kind of he loves the light. He got, I think it's a Raging Kush or Raging, something like that. But he said that it's the only one in his grow room that's not on a manual timer, and it's like
Right.
a little hard for him to get it to sync up to the exact time that the rest of the lights come on. I think he may have figured it out already, but I don't know if there's like a sensor or something, or that you could have it come on at the rest of the time the other lights come on, or is there a way to simply program that?
So there's a couple different options you could do actually. You could just do like, the old school cheap route, which is just like get a digital timer for your other lights, and then like try to make sure you sync your time, like especially if you use like a digital timer, it gives you the opportunity where it'll start from 0 seconds to like 1, 2. So you can literally start it on the dime if you have that level of patience. I personally don't. I don't mind 30 seconds of an interval. But 5 minutes, yeah, that would annoy the shit out of me. So you could do that. Or the way our lights work actually is when you connect to the app, Thea, there's a setting and configuration that has auto sync. And what's cool about that is every single time you connect to the fixture, it automatically syncs with the time. And obviously, if it's like your phone or something like that, it's probably connected to the internet, which is going to be like the most legit time, right? And usually that's the easiest fix. Or if you got a few bucks in your pocket, you could buy a controller from us. The cheapest one that I think is like honestly what most people need, you really don't need our Echo one, is the Thea. That one's, I want to say, $95. It's like a little like USB thumb drive, and it's designed for say if the power goes out or something like that. Just think like an alarm clock, it's going to flash 12 midnight. And you're going to be like, oh shit, your light cycle is going to be out. Where the little Thea Tempo is basically got this little battery in it, and it does like what I said earlier about the application, where it does auto sync. So if your lights were like off for like 10 minutes and then they turn back on, it wouldn't turn on immediately when the power went on, but within 3 to 4 minutes, oh yeah, your lights would be back on. The cycle would be right. You wouldn't have to worry about it. But like, I don't know. Not everybody wants to spend all that. And then the third option is going with the Troll Master, but you're still gonna have to get an adapter and all that shit. I have a Troll Master, and to be honest with you, the app is good enough, man. You really don't need to buy any of that shit. If you're in your grow room all the time, and especially if you have like one light, you don't really need all that. If you want the peace of mind, you can buy the fancy like controllers and stuff. But I think like, I don't know, if it's like a small hobby grow, you don't need to drop all that money. Just my personal opinion.
No, I guess last question for at least on the science LED light front from my end would be, have you noticed any major differences with the light spectrums? Has anybody really tuned it to like say, oh, I took out all the yellow, or I added a bunch of blue or a bunch of red, or did something at a certain time and noticed differences? Or people playing with it a lot, or are they using it as their regular color grow light, like just white light, like everything all the way up?
I mean, I think a lot of people are starting to catch on to the tech with it, and you're starting to notice it with other companies that are starting to add like different channels to their fixtures, and spectrum tuning starting like a little thing that's starting to catch on, right? And I feel like everybody kind of uses it differently. And I have some customers that are like, hey, you know what? I just used the preset flower spectrum, and to be honest, I've had great results and I'm happy with it. And they don't really want to go all into it, but they know that it's a quality fixture, so they want the fixture still, which is really nice because there's like some presets, right? So you don't have to think about it. And then I don't know, then you got people like that's on a research squad like Green Diamond. I always love telling this story because everybody who smokes GMO loves GMO, but anybody who's grown GMO knows that that shit takes forever. And Green Diamond was able to shave off 11 days off of his GMO. When I heard that, I was like, what? I thought that was amazing. I think the most I've ever shaved off is like 3 days. I'm not even enough for me to make a post or be like, hey, I'm pretty sure on this, because even then I wasn't positive on my data, you know? So there's that. But
So you're just using far reds, like the flowering initiators, or what's the, is it like proprietary thing, or is this something you guys are sharing the information on?
I mean, I'm happy to share it. It's I was gonna say is more than anything is I'm pretty sure that he was running our combo recipe, and the combo basically what it is it's cryptochrome as well as phytochrome in the evening. So for those of you who aren't familiar, cryptochrome, what it is basically you're gonna get like your blues that come out in the morning, kind of like when the sun's first coming out, and you're gonna have a slight chill. And the spectrum of light that comes out is usually a little bit more blue, because keep in mind it just came from darkness. So the light's starting to come out. So you'll have like a hint of like a blue hue out there. That's what a cryptochrome is basically. And you'll notice your plants will start to wake up and almost like pray. And then you'll go into your sunrise and then fully go into your recipe. What the cryptochromes do usually is help keep your plants a little bit shorter, squatter, especially the blues. They're just really nice because when you start playing with plant morphology like that, some of the facility guys that I've spoken with have told me that they've used like our alphas, for example. And it's not just because it's the alphas, it's just what the guy had there, right? And he's saying he's had cuts that he's had run for like 4 or 5 years. And he ran them under our lights and ran our combo recipe. And he's never seen the plants look like that. It completely changed their structure because they were really short and squatty. But when you got something like the phytochrome, which is where you're going to be running like a 730 or something like a far red, right? For your last 10 minutes to put them to sleep. And by the way, that's a misconception. I've been educated, and it's not really that the plant gets put to sleep faster. It actually just winds down more efficiently. So since it winds down more efficiently, hence keep in mind, if you got to relax and kick your boots off and relax in your recliner, you might just relax and fall asleep. So the plant's going to be the same way. You're just more efficiently helping it wind down, relax. So hence a reaction from that is it does tend to go sleep a little faster. But between waking up more efficiently, going to sleep more efficiently, and changing your spectrum cycles to the middle, it's had a lot of improvements. The only spot I've gotten to see that is in my alpha, because I just barely got a Raging Kush 2. And that's the only fixture other than the Dragon Alpha where you can independently control the 660 and the 730 channels. On my Raging Kush Classic, you cannot. So that's why the way I spectrum tune mine is a little bit different. I don't run my reds at all for my first 10 days. And then when I do introduce my reds, I only introduce them at about 45%. Then I slowly increase them. And then from there, then I go into my spectrum as far as like what I'm going to do for flower. Because with my light, I have to turn it all the way up if I want to get the full PPFD. And there's not much tuning left once you get past, like, I don't know. Some people do it at day 21. Some people do it at day 25, cultivar, dependent. Me personally, I've been kicking back off my PPFD at the beginning. And then right when I feel my plants bounce back enough from the strip, that's when I'll hit it. So I've been changing things. So far, so good. I've always been a big high PPFD guy, but I will say there's a time to do it and there's a time not to do it. And I'm learning that more as I spectrum tune.
What would a time to not do it be, in your opinion? I have one in mind, but I'm just curious what you found so far.
I mean, honestly, the very beginning of life cycle, like if you just wanted to go over like different PPFD levels, clone to like seedling, I wouldn't go over 100 to 125 PPFD, more on the 100 side. That's just me. If it was already to the point where it was like in a solo cup, getting to the point where it's about to be up potted, I mean, at that point, you could be running 250, 300 PPFD. Some finicky ones, I would probably still run it at 200. And then once you're pretty much in your full on veg and you're like, hey, you're going to like get ready to flip in a few weeks, you should be running your PPFD in my level at about in my opinion, 400 to anywhere to 500 PPFD, depending on the actual cultivar. My average tends to be about 450. Even with my higher ones that I can take more light, I still run it at 450 because I like how it keeps my plant short. If you run it at a higher PPFD, it also tends to grow faster, which is great. But if you're already trying to keep it shorter, it's a fine line. So that's why I don't run it that high. And then pretty much by the time I'm into my flip, my PPFD levels are adjusting from like 600 all the way about 750. And then once I hit about day 24, day 25, I hit it all I can go.
It's good information for the people out there. I mean, do you run CO2 at all in any stage of the cycle, just to cap that off?
Honestly, this cycle is the first one I did my first week that I didn't run CO2. I've always ran it like from the jump. And I was really happy because it kept them a little short and squatty, but they were still stocky. I do run CO2, but I don't know. I guess I'm just starting to run everything a little bit more efficiently as far as like the plants are going to grow on their own, especially if you're giving them the right nutrition and the right levels of PPFT. I think there's this, like I said earlier, a time when to do it. I've made a lot of mistakes burning plants, getting too high, not running enough of an EC level for the amount of PPFD I was pushing, not exhausting my room, different mistakes that I've made. And I'll say now, I really I wait as long as I can till I can hit a higher DLI. And then once I get there, I do it. But then the moment I know my plants are going to gain any more weight, there's no point. There's no point to keep hitting a high PPFD at that point. I start to veer off. And then that's where I really like spectrum tuning because now I can play more with my blues and come down a little bit on the reds because I want them to finish, but finish slowly and nicely. I'm not trying to shave times off my grow so much. Initially, it was because of that. But now seeing how much more frost I can get and how much more my quality's going up, I could give two fucks about shaving 3 days.
Yeah, I'm totally there with you. I'm not doing it for intent of shaving the days. One thing I really like, Kevin Jodry said, it's like your light spectrum is sort of like communicating to the plant. So every little input in that light is actually going to make a difference, whether it's a blue or a red or just a pure white light or the old school like HPS we can see glowing behind Eagle over there. Each one has a different wavelength or frequency of communication to the plant. So when you grow that plant for 5 years under HPS, but then you switch it over to Science or any other LED, like I built my LED in my timer. I have 2 of them that run. I have my 660 and 730 red come on 15 minutes before and run for the entire cycle. I do that for the Emerson effect and also to like help them more efficiently wake up or do whatever. I think it, like you were talking about, it's kind of like meditating before you go to sleep. Maybe they don't go to sleep faster, but they do it a little bit more efficiently or whatever, however you want to think of it or phrase it. I think it's a good thing to do 15 minutes before and after the cycle. But I also run the 660 plus 730, the entire light cycle, because the Emerson effect is like those two reds combined, it just increases photosynthesis. So it just grows a little bit more efficiently or faster, whatever way you want to think about it. I totally agree with you on dimming really late in the cycle. Like when you're close to harvest, those last 2 to maybe 3 weeks, I dial it back quite a lot now because I've tried running it hard all the way to the end and it never really gives me more yield. The plants just end up looking a little bit more beat up and I don't get much more weight out of it. So the last few weeks, I'll just dim it down a little bit and just let them coast, and it never seems to affect the yield too negatively. It depends. You don't want to dim it too far, but you find a balance for whatever. The one thing that's crazy to me, I don't supplement CO2 at all, other than my wife, myself, and my cats living in a space. And my low end CO2 is 1300. It's the lowest it'll ever be.
Wow.
My high end is 1900. So I can crank it. Like I've pushed my plants up to like 1500 ppfd and they'll take it in some cases. But sometimes another strain in that room will like only want 500 to 800. So it's really strain dependent and CO2 levels matter, but I've always been fascinated by it. And the thing that you mentioned also that I really agreed with is early on, I like to kind of baby my seedlings and early veg plants. Like Tao's probably like, damn, you've been vegging those things forever. It's because like I've ran them too hot or too hard, the LEDs early, and like fucked up seedlings before. And it takes a longer time to grow out of it than just like kind of slowly dialing up the LED and just like letting them veg slowly. And then once they get a nice root system, then you can start pushing them. And like you said, get them to that whatever PPFD marker works well for your plants and your environment.
Yeah, you know,
I've done that to mine.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut anybody off there. All I was going to say is, and those are just my numbers, by the way. Those aren't like gospel, like stick by these numbers. This is just what I've seen that works for me. And
dude,
then not only
it's fucking
that,
talking shit with Eagle. It's not gospel over here, but you're sharing what your experience is. I'm curious. Everybody's got a different answer. I think a lot of people look at your experience in the lighting world with high regard. You're working with a lighting company. You've tried a lot of different stuff. You have access to professional meters. You don't need to like sit here and like defend it with like, oh, well, a white paper might say this or that. Like I'm actually most curious because I think firsthand experience is sometimes the best. That's where a lot of the knowledge base comes from. Then they start doing the science experiments based on like what they find growers are already doing. Like they'll just say, oh, they hang the light this far away from the plant, and then they'll take a reading at that, say, oh, they're actually growing at this ppfd or whatever it is, and try and get similar or close. They never execute everything exactly perfectly. Like when they try and copy what I'll call like a true grower would do versus like some college kid or a person who's working in a college lab somewhere. They might try and measure all the stuff and do it just right, but there's always these little things that you see that they just don't. There's certain nuance. Je ne sais quoi is what they say in French. Like I don't know what it actually means. I think there's like a element about it that can't be described, and every grower has a different touch. And that's what's so beautiful about cannabis. That's why I encourage so many people to grow, because it's so cool. Once you get somebody actually growing it, you get to smoke some of their bud. Cheers to Johnny Cannaseed. I've been sampling some of his buds. It's been really awesome to sample new stuff from everybody. But the more people grow, the more unique individuals touch this plant. We get these awesome products that are like the whole farmers market thing that Eagle was talking about. It's like the fantasy. I think it will come back. I think there's places like here in California, they do like secret sessions where they just do pop-ups and a bunch of people show up with a bunch of product and a bunch of people have cash and a bunch of people have product and they do what they do and no one's the wiser. So, like, how the fuck are you gonna stop that? Cheers, Cabin 420. How you doing over there? Things are looking beautiful. How's the weather? You might be still joining us, or the connection might be a little delayed, but welcome in, Captain 420. Things are looking beautiful over there.
Thank you. How you doing, Jack? Eagle, American one, and the other gentleman. the other
Sergeant
gentleman
Pepper
there, I
420.
didn't catch your name, talking about the LEDs. Okay, Sergeant Pepper 420, I've got a little question to ask you.
Yes, sir.
I didn't catch all. I'm sure it's probably a repeat of Jack's. Also interested because I'm an HPS metal halide person.
Okay.
How are the LEDs coming along as far as adding the red along with the blues?
Well, I mean, it all depends as far as like what
Okay,
lighting
maybe my
company or
connection's
what.
all screwed up.
Hopefully you can hear me. I was gonna say it all depends on what lighting company and what fixture, because everybody's got a little bit different spectrum. Just like, you know, every bulb's gonna have a different spectrum, right? Like a Hordelux bulb versus like Nuccio bulb. I remember when I grew with HPS and metal halides, I always grew with the Hordelux bulb because that was the one that I had the best results with. As far as reds are concerned, I mean, these fixtures now, at least for the company I work for, it's gotten to the point where we can literally replicate an HPS spectrum to the T. As a matter of fact, a lot of our facility growers that are first coming on to LED, that aren't used to keeping their plants so short and squatty, we actually recommend that they start off with the HPS spectrum just because they're familiar with it. It's what they know. So this way, well, they're like, hey, that wasn't so bad. And they might try something on their own later. But I don't know, I guess for me, like, I would rather call before I walk. And I just like that with our lights, it doesn't matter if you agree with metal halide, HPS, CMH, you could set the light to whatever you want. The only thing that it doesn't have is it doesn't have any UV in it. Like a CMH does have some slight UV in it. I won't bullshit you, it doesn't have that. But at the same
Okay.
time, I'm not a big UV guy myself. I just don't know enough about it yet. And not only that, the science isn't fully out on it yet, but that's a whole like topic there. It's not that I don't think that it's real, because I know a lot of people that use it and have great success with it. I just don't know enough about it to say anything about it, to be totally transparent.
That's the difference between the sun
Okay,
and a
because
normal grow light for the most part. And if you look at Green 13, he's running it and he's having great results. And so is the plasma farm that my grow tour has the UV from the plasma bulbs, and they did side-by-side testing. Cannabinoids had higher terpenes and higher cannabinoids in their hemp that they're growing over there. So in my opinion, it's cutting edge, but I would say UV will conclusively be shown to improve secondary cannabinoid and like terpene, but it'll have to be done appropriately. Like I think Green 13 said only 2 hours a day. The sun
Right.
does it.
It's-
HPS has some, like you had mentioned.
that's one of the reasons why I moved to northern Thailand, Jack. This was an argument that I had at Amsterdam University with Mr. Ed Rosenthal, Mr. Know-It-All. And it comes down to that UV light is the key to THC potency. I've asked DJ about this. I've asked many other people about it. And, you know, everybody says, yeah, between like the 400 and 600 nanos, 620, 630 with the UV light greatly improves that THC production.
There's one good study
That's
that
why I
like
moved to
observed.
northern Thailand to figure that one out.
There's like a white paper that actually examined like I think it was like hemp and drug cultivars, as they put it, of like grown in like Afghanistan or like high mountain regions versus lowland, and they did a bunch of comparisons. And UV was one of the distinct things. Like the higher altitude stuff had to be more, you know, acclimated to that, and showed higher THC. It's no surprise to me that there's like, if you look at like India, where there's like a lot of high mountain regions, Thailand, you've got a lot of these mountainous regions. Afghanistan has a lot of mountainous regions. Some of the most potent cannabis throughout history has always come from some of those spots. Mexico has some mountainous regions that it has grown, where high up there's less basically distance from the sun and just more intense levels of UV. So there's a double combination there. But there's a whole lot of things that go up with the elevation. The weather changes, atmospheric pressures are different. So I think it's badass that you're in Thailand.
Well, I'm in northern Thailand, so you
Other
can't
than your
get much
international,
more northern or you end up in Burma. Sorry for that. Maybe I should even get off the screen and just go voice and just sit here. But that was one of the questions I had because I'm really interested, especially after Big John the other day and his comments about, using HBS and metal halides and now this new 650 that he's using. But I also see, and that would probably be something I would be looking into are these new 315s and supplementing with those instead of just doing 1,000-watt goal. And I'd like to see what these are, but I need that UV light in there too with them.
don't be afraid to run the 315s. I ran them for 2 years. They're amazing. They put out a great spectrum. Some of the happiest, healthiest plants I've ever grown were under the 315 CMHs. Brandon Rust, he grew like 12% terpene, the highest terpene I've ever seen tested on a cannabis flower under CMH. And he killed it under those for years as well. So if you're in between HPS and LED, I think it's a good option. But I do definitely think LED is, Eagle has got a bunch of them. They're all, the modern ones now are as good or better than the HPS in terms of efficiency. But the one thing that's interesting, like Sergeant Pepper was talking about, is using, like, even if you did like the perfect HPS spectrum match without it being like 60% of it being light and like 40% of it being heat, where there's that big IR spike, the infrared heat. I'm less like the UV, I'm really interested in it, but the IR heat from HPS is the one thing. When you remove that, even if you give the exact same spectrum from an LED, I think that is a different enough scenario coming from that light that the plant's going to grow differently. Something about that HPS intensity, it makes those rock fucking hard nugs, man, like top to bottom. There's something about that IR heat coming off it. It's like a fucking infrared heat lamp. When you go to a restaurant where they heat up your food, those are like 80 or 90% infrared heat, like a little bit more like pushed that way than HPS is. But a certain amount of that is literally what like warms people's food. So your plants and grow space are being warmed by that grow light. And I think that has an effect on the plant. And like if you look at HPS buds, unless the grow room isn't regulated, like if you don't control the temperature and environment, if you can keep the environment proper, you can get some of the tightest, densest buds under HPS. And I think LED can compare, but more HPS growers I think have really dense, like fist fucking rock hard buds. A lot of the LED growers I'm seeing are getting more foxtail, open calyx buds, but it really does come down to genetics and environment.
Well, it's also too the reason you see a lot of foxtailing and things like that, especially with LEDs, and typically it's in production rooms is where I see it the most. Where I see a lot of foxtailing is because with LEDs, at least when you're in the salts game, usually if you're hitting those higher PPFD numbers, you need to also take into account the plant's diet and also increase the nutrition there as well. Because if you're pushing it harder, then obviously it needs to be fed a little bit stronger. And usually between the high PPFD levels as well as the high EC, also strain dependent, but that's usually what foxtails the most. I know that's for sure. And why I always got a foxtail was I was pushing hot EC and also pushing my plants as hard as I could go. And that's why you heard me earlier say, like, I've learned when to do it and when not to do it. And I'm still learning, and I'm going to continue to learn every fucking run. That's just how you learn as a grower. But I think that's where you see it the most, because you really don't see too much foxtailing like with organics and stuff like that. At least I don't see it too often. You know what I mean?
I follow 7,500 growers, and I'll tell you, I'm seeing it. At least it's not as dense as their HPS grown bud from the same exact gardener in many occasions. And I think you're right. They're probably not understanding the PPFD levels and other things like that. But I finally have matched my same space yield, like my CMH, it was more wattage at 315 versus like running 260 watts of LED, but I just hit like maybe a few grams less, but from switching and like running less wattage and getting the same yield but better quality is good. I'll take the better quality on it for sure. But it took me a little while to get the same amount. But yeah, it's nice to have benchmarks. I think it's definitely worth measuring certain things so you can try and beat them in the future. But quality is something that is something I don't think should be sacrificed at any basically other expense.
Would agree with that.
The thing that I think really did it for me was the earth box being constantly, the water was always available, or air, you know, it just had a nice rich soil where it had basically all the nutrients it could have wanted or needed. And that was what, not only was it the light difference that matched my highest yield before, but also organic versus in cocoa, my highest cocoa yield. I know Eagle's actually, his earth box yield was higher than his cocoa yield was, but mine I just tied, which I'm happy with, because I know my soil and LED stuff is a little bit better quality than my cocoa and CMH stuff was. But to be honest, they're all great. If I had to go back to CMH and cocoa right now, you wouldn't have to twist my arm to get me to smoke it. The shit was still fire. So I'm happy with any of the homegrown that people will grow in cocoa or CMH, HBS, whatever it is. I think there's a lot of people out there growing stuff up on fire. Even under the sun,
I gotta
like this
give
Jade
you a
OG.
little shout out. I didn't cut you off there, Jay. Sergeant Pepper, to your overall demeanor and outlook on knowledge, brother. It seems like you've done some growing since the last time we've talked.
I've just been kicking ass as far as like just going to work, coming home, and fucking working on my grow. I'm really not trying to I guess like get what's the word I'm looking for? Get distracted and just keep my eye on the prize. I've been spending more time with my daughter, which is really nice. And then also, well, work, I'm not gonna lie, there's some days where it's pretty chill, and then there's some days it's like, fuck, we're busy. So it balances out. But I don't know, man. I feel like I'm being more exposed to more growing and seeing other people grow the way they grow, and seeing a lot of facilities the way they grow. And I don't know, man. I have a respect for everybody's the way they grow, and it's not I guess for me, like, because I didn't understand things before, but now like understanding how lighting takes such a big importance is how you run things. It's not that you can't do something. It's just you got to adjust and take into effect how you're going to do there and how you're going to get your plan to get there. I don't know. For me, I feel like every day in my garden, I'm trying to do better and trying to read more and shit like that.
I don't know what your old job was, but you seem like you're a lot happier now. I'll say that.
Yeah, I worked at a technology company before, and I was a tech guy, and you know, I'm still kind of a tech guy, right? But at the same time, like, I don't know, it's pretty nice to be able to smoke during working hours.
That's what I liked working for Normal, man. Now, you know, you had to fail the piss test. If you passed the piss test, you got fired.
I put this thing on my story the other day that was the funniest shit. It was on Weed Humor on Instagram, and this girl is sitting there and she's like making these brownies, and you can tell like clearly they're medicated brownies, right? And she goes, "I'm making these brownies to bring into work today, and I'm not doing this because I'm nice or because I like my coworkers or anything like that. I'm doing this because I heard we had a random drug test, and I'm not going to be the only motherfucker to fail. So unless you want to fire everybody in this office, you better leave me the fuck alone."
California, shout out to California. They finally banned firing people for failing cannabis drug tests. I don't know, a few other states have followed suit, or maybe actually led the example. Several states now are no longer drug testing for cannabis, which is a big step forward.
Hell yeah.
As funny as the normal drug test would be, I'd love to fail one to keep my job. You better fucking have cannabis in your system. You're fired.
Amazon, stop testing.
When I went to interview for the farm, they actually made me roll a joint. You know,
That's
like,
awesome.
see how long it takes you and how good it was and things like that.
Did they smoke it with you?
Yeah, fuck yeah, they did.
Of course they did. I'll tell you, I'll never forget my very first day going to science in Arizona. And my boss, Greg, we get to the office or whatever, because he picked me up at the airport, and he hands me this fucking bag of weed with like, I want to say like 40, like not exactly a quarter, but like over an eighth. I don't know. He didn't fucking weigh it. He just handed it to me. He goes, hey, I got this grow that I need your opinion on. This bud was grown with LED. You'll see it's tagged, and this bud was grown with HPS, same strains. I really need your input. And we were like in the middle of the office in front of everybody. And I was like, holy fucking shit, you serious? And it was so nice compared to my previous job, right? Where like, I don't know, I smoked a cartridge at work, like outside, because that was the only way I could really consume, because it's not accepted where I worked at, you know?
I think
Well, soon they're going to have to do something and change the laws, especially with all these recreational states now. If you can go home and recreationally smoke a joint just like a beer, and then you go to work and you sit in front of a computer for 8 hours a day, what's the difference if you smoked at home? That was on your personal time. It's not like you're smoking at work. If you come in high to work and you can't perform your job, then yeah, you know, you better do something about it. But if not, you have to let these medical and you have to let these recreational states do away with these drug testing policies. And I understand it's all over insurance, because I worked construction and I was hurt. And for 2 weeks in ICU, they kept on asking me if I went out and had beer at lunch or break, or if I smoked a joint or something like that. And all I could tell them is, you've had enough of my blood over the past 2 weeks. You've had time to test it. And that's what I've told you from the beginning, is test my blood. So, you know, they need to do away with it, because just because you smoked last night at 8 o'clock at night doesn't mean you're still high even by 10:30. You know, it's in your system, yes, but you can be 500 pounds, not smoke for 8 years, lose 250 pounds, and still test positive for cannabis after not smoking for 8 years. So, you know, there's a problem here, and it needs to be fixed.
I think if people advocate, they'd be surprised with how much they can do. A few examples for you all. Recently in Oklahoma, they just rallied against having Metric, because Metric is basically a company that is in multi-states. They're not based in Oklahoma. They're going to come in and track everything seed to sale and make themselves a bunch of money and make it extremely difficult for all the growers to go through a bunch of unnecessary waste, like tagging plants with a bunch of plastic tags for each one, and you cannot reuse from grow to grow. So they rallied against it. It got pushed out because it was like going to be a monopoly, and it wasn't in the best interest of the state, the growers, or anybody local. So they said, fuck that. We don't want it. They kept it out. Michigan, they're all pissed off because there's a manufacturer's MCMA right now that's rallying against caregivers' rights. And a bunch of people are posting all the brands that were lobbying. They spent $10 million to lobby against caregivers' rights. And now they're all being publicly shamed, and people are boycotting, and they're not buying anything from those brands. I'm not buying anything from 3 brands in California because they boycotted, or they were going against growers' rights. I'll shout them out right now. Fuck Clout King, Sherbinsky's, and I'm blanking on the third one, but there's another one in California that I'm not going to support. I'll go back and look at the thing. And to be honest, I grow my own 90% of the time. My wife occasionally brings some stuff home from work. And then the third thing I was going to say was my wife. She advocated at a city council meeting, as well as a few other people from her work. And there was actually a lobby advocating against cannabis, but they all came together. They got denied 3 months ago. They said, we're going to wait, see how things go. This neighboring city made $4 million in taxes that went to improvement of that city. So they're like, hey, we need to, remove the medical only and allow for adult use. And that's a big deal in that city because there's a lot of veterans who don't want to give up their right to bear arms to get their medical card. So I just wanted to shout out my wife, Lady Greenstock, because she's on the cover of my book, and her work, Med Leaf Delivery, actually carries my book, the first edition, which I think is pretty badass. It's one of the only places you can get it in person, actually delivered in California. You can also get it at Kinyo's Garden Center. Shout out to Kinyo. And also Great Lakes Genetics got 5 copies. So cheers to all those people. Sorry to plug that, but I'm so proud of the community to like step the fuck up. And like when you're talking about normal, like that shit fires me up. Like it's midnight here. I was about to get ready to wind down and go to bed when you're talking about normal and like talking with Ed Rosenthal and some of the other people in the industry that have been around for a while. So much has changed and a lot of it for the better. So I'm just so passionate to see people still fighting the good fight because it's not done yet. There's still people in prison for cannabis. The laws, every state needs unlimited plant count. It needs to be like a fucking tomato or a strawberry or any flower, roses that you can grow as many as you want. Gift them to your friends, grow them outside, grow them inside, do whatever the fuck you want.
And
Cheers
if
to you,
I'm
Jay.
back
Don't be
in,
sorry for plugging that book. Sorry, Captain. Don't be sorry for plugging that book, brother. I'm still fucking
That's
proud
okay.
of that. Fucking for doing that shit, man. I can respect anybody that has a dream, goes out there, fucking does it. Flat out. So, cheers to you. Plug that shit all you want. That's what
You're always going to be on the back cover, brother. Right up top. I have a little whole section dedicated to Eagle and the people who listen to the show and support me, not just through this show, but growing with my fellow growers and even my little Greenstock Talks podcast, but with the book as well. I looked back on the first time I came up on the episode 5. It's like 4 hours in, you can hear Eagle say, you should write a book. And I was like, you know what? I'm thinking about 50 Strains of Green. Don't steal it. Like, I'm going to have to go and fucking do it now. And sure enough, it came to be. So it was a long time coming. And this is the second edition. And I'm super happy with it. And I'm thankful for all the people that have supported and been able to get a copy. I actually got 50strains.com for the next 2 years because I'm going to do 50 strains of purple. And y'all have heard it here. When I say, should I do it? I try to be a man of action. That's what life's all about. You got to enjoy your life and have dreams and try and, aim for them and fucking go after it. Like, look at Captain 420 over there. He fucking moved across the world. I'm kind of a little
but if I
sunburnt too
come
in
back
California.
if I come back in September, I will definitely be in Michigan helping Buddy and anybody else. Maybe I can get Michigan Normal fired up a little bit more, and maybe we can do some fundraisers. And the big thing is we need people to show up at these local meetings to voice their opinions, to get these people to understand that the public wants this. Just because it's good for a group of people doesn't make it good for everybody. And that group of people usually cuts out the people that really need the medicine, that are on a fixed income. I know when I go back, I'm going to be helping with 3-4 different gardens. So that's another reason why I've asked for help in acquiring strains to grow, because, all these new strains that are tasty that you people talk about, I'd like to give them a grow and see what I can do with them. But I have patients out there that, we can grow with and help. And that's what it's all about, is helping the people that are really in need. And those people really live on a small income. So, I'm definitely going to be up there doing what I can to help get it changed, to help them see whatever I can contribute. And hopefully I can contribute a little bit enough to, make a little difference in one county or another.
I feel like that made a difference when I'm eating a bag of fucking Tao's famous cookies. That's my next mission. Tao.
I'll send
Get
you.
some
I'll send
cookies
you a
up there,
couple.
brother.
Definitely.
Oh, I'm not looking for a plug. I want to be
No,
able to buy them. I want to
I
go
need to
fucking
give
to
it
the
to you.
store and buy them bitches. That look
All
that
right, we'll
kind
make
of
that
level
happen.
of famous Tao cookies.
We can make that
Huh?
happen. Yeah.
Start reverse.
Uh-oh, we lost Eagle.
I just froze.
I don't know
Some
who's
people's
uh,
legs, man. Yeah, I mean, if you get them reverse the flock with some Tao cookies, huh?
Yeah.
You're back, Eagle. We got you now. It was like a Captain 420 where you froze for a second
Caught
and then you
up.
came back in.
Every time I fucking open the mic, it seems like some nights. Oh, but seriously, Tao. Hopefully someday. For real.
Cheers. We'll make it happen.
Well, he's gonna live to be like 200, so he might as well figure out how to get him in stores.
Yeah. That's why I gotta live to. I think it's 160. What was it? 168. Yeah, I need that extra time to make things happen. There's a long list.
What else is on the list other than the cookies, Tal? I'm curious now.
Well, now, yeah, I'm just getting to the point where I'm gonna pop those chocolate beans. I'm gonna make chocolate. I'm gonna find that chocolate tasting weed, and I put that mutant outside. It's barely alive.
Have we
But-
talked with Ross Kyle Paul? He grows the coffee, right? And I think that there's some chocolate phenos in there. He was just on
Yeah.
last night, or the night before. I think it was last night. Got to link up with them and see maybe in Lemon Hoko's Discord.
Well, I got chocolate, and I got chocolate. He calls it chocolate OG Thai. Wait, yeah, OG chocolate Thai from AK Bean Brains. So
Nice.
that's what I'm gonna pop all of those and sift through those and see what's there.
I think you'll find it. Usually, at least in my experience, when I've been looking for something, if you look hard enough, you find it.
I'm gonna look. So yeah, that's gonna happen shortly. So that's about it though. And then yeah, I don't know really.
In Eagles cases, sometimes you're looking for something and you find it in the place you least expect it. You're on a hunt for pine. You pop pine this or whatever, and you're looking for something. I send a J1 cut over to him, telling him how piney it is. And it smells like dragon fruit. But sure enough, he fucking goes and drops some Tiger King, of all things, and it's piney as a motherfucker.
There you go.
I need to hit that cat up, man. He was a cool dude, man. Last time I talked to him, he was fighting like a tooth infection and shit. Which, man, I've heard a lot of fucking. I don't know if it's like just this last year, but man, I heard like fucking 10 people like with like terrible hospitalization level toothaches. They have to admit you. If you go to a hospital and tell them you've got a fucking headache and you think it's originating from your teeth, they gotta fucking take a look at it because that infection can go to your brain so quickly that fucking they can turn your way out and shit. Crazy. Crickets. The topic wheel is coming way fast now. It's actually I was watching Scooter's fucking feed, and he had a digital wheel that he put together. It had names on it though. It looked like he was doing a contest with it. I'm like,
Giveaway.
Oh, that's my fucking wheel. That's fucking awesome right there. That's perfect. I don't even have to go to Home Depot for that shit.
Yeah,
Just
especially at the
screen
cost
share.
of lumber. Cost of fucking lumber right now.
Right?
Don't make one. Get a digital one.
You fucking A, you're not wrong.
You might as
right
well
now.
make it out of gold if you're making it out of wood right now. Fuck.
Yeah, I got to build a new fucking tray stand right now, and I'm not looking forward to going to go get some. I'm gonna build the son of a bitch out of 2x3s. I'm gonna just not do 2x4s because it's just. I think it was like $14 last time I saw for a 10-footer, and I was like, "You got to be shitting me."
it's crazy that market right now.
Cheaper in
Man. I
Thailand.
still don't understand. People are fucking building, man. People are building around me like kind of pretty good. It's like, man,
I couldn't
Oof,
believe that either, Eagle.
seems
I saw
brutal.
some the other day, and I was like, "Who?" Like, a guy was carrying like a piece of sheet wood, and I almost joked. It's like, man, looks like you're fucking carrying gold over there. There's like a stack of it, and they were doing a big project. I'm like, some people just they have that kind of fuck you money. They just don't care. It's like, yeah, we're gonna build right
I've
now, and we
heard
don't care.
Home Depot is putting limits on how many sheets you can go in there and buy during price dips. Fucking crazy shit. Crazy shit.
I believe it. You said you know some guys that got a warehouse full of the shit that just kind of dripping a little bit out, right? Taking it at the highest. I don't blame them. It's been tough times for a while, so you might as well get it while the getting's good.
Yeah, I'm sure that kid's laughing like crazy right now because I know when he bought a lot of that shit, fucking it was like $7-8 a sheet, man. It's 5 times that now. Easy.
That's a good return. If I were him, I'd be moving that shit all around. Like if it's 5 times, fuck it. I'd take 4 times the price and just get rid of all of it and send it to Michigan, California, Oregon, whatever I could eat the cost on shipping and just like take some of that profit. But I'm not sitting on a big pile of wood. Some people are like literally have like a forest that they fall trees just for these types of occasions. They like have these reserves, and when the cost of lumber goes up enough, it makes sense for them to chop it down. So I'm just waiting for the hempcrete, man. I'm actually have a hemp opportunity coming up. My buddy's got a few acres. Hemp licenses are under $1,000 in California. So we're thinking about growing some for seed and growing, potentially extracting it for terpenes. A little bit of what Red Pill was talking about, just vapor distill them. And cannabis terpenes, people are definitely interested in those, whether it comes from hemp or high THC. And growing a bunch of plants under the sun would be fun. There's not like the same plant count issues. And I think it was Big Bob had a funny suggestion of maybe a few THC seeds slip into that hemp crop here and there, and maybe a savvy grower like any of us would, maybe figure out a way to tag those plants and pull them down at a certain time. So you'd have some really good stuff, really good hemp for yourself, grown under the sun. But yeah, I think it opens up a lot of opportunities. I think there are definitely people here probably taking advantage of that, which I don't blame them. I look at hemp is cannabis, cannabis is hemp. They're all the same plant. So the THC limit, I think, is a little bit silly. I think it was 0.3. They're going to move it up to 1. I've heard though. Has anybody heard that? They might go to 1%.
I've heard that. The only problem is just like here in Thailand, they allow them to grow the hemp, but there's no processing plants here in Thailand to process the hemp in for fiber production or even hempcrete right now. And I think that's the United States' problem too. There needs to be more processing units out there across the United States so everybody can grow this hemp and we can actually put it to use in hemp particle board and or press board, I'm sorry, and hemp.
They're making shoes out of it again.
Insulation.
There's a few different brands. Like I think one is called like 1800 Kicks or something, and like maybe like 1-800 Kicks or something. They're made out of hemp, and there's another brand I can't think of. They're like waterproof. Fucking blanking on the name, but the hempcrete is pretty cool. It's like fire resistant. I've seen them blowing torches on that shit for like 5-10 fucking minutes, and it doesn't catch flame. The way that they construct it, it just doesn't want to burn for whatever reason. Which in certain regions of like California, that'd be extremely attractive building material.
It's an insulated product as well. Super strong, surprisingly strong.
I mean, the first,
And
I
man,
think
it would take those 32-pound block and make them like 20 pounds. Man, that would have been a lifesaver back in the day when I was lifting those 62 and 72 pound split rocks, to have those made out of hempcrete and only weigh 40 pounds, 42 pounds.
I just saw an interesting thing. They're 3D printing like struts that used to be made out of metal that would weigh like, I want to say like 25 to 40 pounds. And the 3D printed thing is like a few ounces to a couple pounds, where it's just so much lighter, but it has the exact same or more structural stability. So it's easier for them to move and work with. So I think there's a lot of stuff on the engineering and building front that is changing, and it'll just be interesting to see where and how long it takes to be implemented. So I think a lot of people are old school. They know their way and they're gonna keep on building it that way, you know. And there's nothing wrong with that shit. They got us where we are now. Eagle, you said you finished up the plumbing work that you were working on. Got to feel nice to put the bags down for a bit, hopefully.
Oh, I don't know. I took more. I'm a fucking dummy. I took more. I'm a fucking. Yeah, I don't know what it is, man. I have the hardest time saying no, especially to good people. And man, fucking, and I took more. I'm actually tiling around the fireplace now and trying to get me into more flooring. But come on. I even put a fucking outrageous. I got the bathroom with like an overpriced. I told you that. I don't want to fucking do it price. All right. I did mention, I don't know if I told you that. But on this other section of floor, I did the same thing. I felt like, I was like, yeah, I don't want to fucking do that. Cool. And they're like, okay. I'm like, all right. So, yeah. But I'm taking a fucking break. I've told everybody I'm tired of this fucking shit. I love it, but there's reasons why I transitioned flat out. No materials came there, goofy shit, non-dry days. I had fucking drywall mud, not fucking dry. I stood there and watched it the other day, man. That shit should have been well dry. I'm like, man, it just fucking ain't doing it. See you tomorrow. You know, that's all you can do. You can paint tomorrow. Oh, sorry. As long as they're happy, I'm happy like this. Dab song, yes. Lord knows, I got you.
Yeah, we're on the
Yeah.
20, just about. Get ready, peeps.
I'm gonna dab some granimals from Aaron the Grower.
Holy shit. Came in there early. Yeah. Fuck it. Ooh, that smells bold.
We just
Funny
sold my
watching.
Huffco.
Let's see. Did ya?
Yeah, because we
How
just bought the
come?
new one. We bought the opal one. We sold this to a friend. So when the new one gets here, they're gonna get this one after we clean it all up for them.
I was gonna say it's funny to see Lexi transition to a bong. She's been smoking out of a little bubbler lately. It's kind of funny. I got yelled at for the second time. To, you know, try to show her how to use it and shit. I know how to use it. I've smoked before. All right. All right. Go ahead. Cheers.
I love the dab song. Whoever suggested it, cheers to you, because it's always a great addition to the show.
Going on. Ooh. Lexi and Chad, cheers. It's fucking
So for
Anyway.
everybody, that was my second joint I've smoked outside of my house here in Thailand.
What is the penalty if you get caught, Captain?
Well, if I get caught, nothing, because I hold a U.S. medical card, and I also hold a Thai medical card and paperwork. So nothing really happens. And everybody back in the States, if you have your medical card, you can come to Thailand. It's no flour right now, but it is concentrates. You can fly not into the country with it, but in the country. Once you are here, you can fly with your medicine. You can also purchase it and use it. But if you don't have that, 150 bucks to the cops, if so you don't go to the police station. If you go to the police station and you're pissy with them, you could get lost there. And there's people in there for a couple joints that have been in jail for 3, 4, 5 years now, and their paperwork just keeps getting lost.
Sounds like Cuba.
But I actually have no problem smoking here in Thailand. It seems to be do as you please, and as long as you're not hurting somebody else or infringing upon somebody else's rights, you know. My neighbors played loud music at 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. You can't call the cops, you just deal with it. So that's the way they look at things over here. So I have no problem smoking at certain bars. Just ask. And they may say, well, step in the back or step outside on the street and you smoke and you come back in, because where I live in the north, that's Mayberry, I call it, because the police disappear after the sun goes down. You don't worry about it. It's freedom.
I'm about to jump out, y'all. I just wanted to make one quick note before I go because I thought it was interesting and it doesn't get enough attention. I think a lot of people are looking for the lightest color when you see concentrates now. This is a little bit darker. This is Aaron the grower's second press rosin. And he actually had like the first press and the second press. And although I think the first press was a little more flavorful, the second press, in my opinion, had a more potent effect, and I enjoyed the flavor a little bit more. I feel like it's a little more robust, but I don't think it's all about color. Often people get caught up in the color. So if you say something that's a little bit darker, don't worry too much. Some of the best hashes like black. So at least in my opinion, the Afghanis and others know how to do it. So cheers to you all. Captain 420, the American one, Sergeant Pepper 420, and of course, Eagle. It's always great chilling with you all. Peace and love, always. Catch y'all on the next one. Have a great night, everybody.
Peace out, Jack.
Easy, Jack.
You know what? I'm feeding quick too. I'm going to drop out too, Eagle, but I want to stop in and say hello. I'm fucking passing out.
That, man. You don't sound like you feel too good, brother, to be honest.
Yeah, I think I got pollen allergies. I don't know, because when I had to go into the place, they had to check my, like they won't let you in the hospital, like visitors, to get your temperature checked because of the COVID. I didn't have a fever, so I know I ain't sick, so I think it's just some sort of allergy shit. But you know how it is. It's always fucking awesome fucking talking shit with Eagle. Peace out, Captain 420. Sergeant Pepper, congrats on all your doings, dude. That shit, those plants looked awesome, and the lights are obviously awesome. So good work, and peace out, everyone.
Thanks, American One.
Always a pleasure, brother.
All right, over and out.
Don't be such a stranger. Don't be such a stranger. We missed you, fucker. That's your job. I could say the same of you, Sergeant Pepper, as well, man. It's been nice to talk to you.
Thanks, man. It's been nice to be here. I just, like I said, I've been busy, but I'm at least now, when I get my chance, I will try to pop in here. That's for sure. I don't know if any of you guys are going. I'd imagine you're probably going to the one in Michigan, but I'll be going to the Gene Traders in Virginia. That should be interesting, especially because July 1st is their first day officially fully rec in Virginia, so that should be cool. Whole new fresh market, see a bunch of new growers, should be cool.
Sounds fucking cool. So do you actually get paid more or get paid to go these events now? I mean, you should.
I mean, it all depends. Like the last time, I mean, I get paid like a base salary, so whatever I get told to do, I do, right? But I will say, like, I never get asked anything unreasonable, so there's that. But like the last event I did for him, I went to the Earl Cup in Arizona, and that was super rad because I want to say it was like the first cup of the year that, at least in the West Coast, that I know for sure, where it was finally like, you know, fucking COVID killed everything, right? So it was like the first one where everybody was like, fuck yeah, we're going out, we're smoking. So everybody was really excited. And it was an outdoor event. So everybody was smoking, right? And then I don't know, like there's people wearing masks, there's some people now wearing masks. If you do, if you don't, I don't judge you either way. I was just glad to see a bunch of people getting together and smoking and hanging out, because that's what I like to fucking do.
Well, it is a nice thing to go like representing like a company type thing. You know, it is. It's really cool. I had that feeling a lot with Sub there. You know, been to seats here in Michigan whenever he asked me to, but it was always a pleasure. The people are always happy to see cannabis industry related folks, and it's a great. I mean, word, but I mean, you get to meet so many cool fucking people in the industry, man. It was a blessing for me. It really was.
Yeah, I agree with that, because I'll say, like, I don't know, like, how can I put this? I had some cool experiences, and then not only that, getting to do what I love for a job is pretty fucking rad. But at the event, this I can tell I'm getting old, Eagle. You're gonna laugh at me. So where we set up our booth was right next to like this dab station, right? And you could bring your own rig, or they had a rig there, but they were like wiping it down, like rubbing alcohol and stuff and making it all sanitary, because you know the weird times that we're in. But man, I want to say after an hour standing next to that booth, you had the biggest fucking headache ever from all that BHO nonstop just fucking blowing in your face. Like a dab or two, sure, shit, 4 or 5, no problem. But you stand next to a booth where it's dab after dab after dab after dab. I don't know how those guys how they didn't get lightheaded, because I was starting to get lightheaded next to them. I thought that was kind of cool, but funny, because I never thought I would say that, because I love doing dabs. But after being next to a BHO booth, I was like, maybe we're just gonna smoke flower tonight.
I've definitely had that experience myself, man. In some of these littler places, man, like Vehicle City, fucking G3, man, and both them environments, man, they're small places, man. You get burning in there, man. It could be a long winter day. That's for sure. That's for sure.
Here, try this dab. Every booth at GC3.
I mean, I love dabs, don't get me wrong. And I'll still do dabs with BHO, solventless, flower press rosin. I just like doing dabs, period. You know, I got a couple rigs and whatnot, but fuck, man, all that butane and shit nonstop back to back is fucking rough.
Yeah, that dabs are hard on my fucking lungs. I had to back off on them. You know, doing the show here, man. I'd still like doing the dabs and everything, but man, I got to where I was doing them pretty frequent there. And I could feel that shit in the chest. And I was like, good old joints. Good old joints. Never had that problem from good old joints. So I lessened off, but I still love my dabs. I'll still do a dab. If offered, no doubt.
Yeah, I just like consuming in every way. The only way I don't consume too often is edibles, just because, well, you know, if you take too much or whatever, you know, you can fuck up your whole day. If it's a planned event, absolutely. I love edibles. But I don't know. I tend to take too much because I say, oh, I don't feel it. Oh, I don't feel it. I don't feel it. Then I eat more and more, and it fucking hits you. And then you're like, well, that was really stupid. And especially if it's like really good, like tasty like pastries or something, right? Like something that tastes really good, or like chocolates, because you eat one, then you eat another one, and then you forget for like by the time you hit your third, you're like, oh fuck, these are medicated. I need to slow down. But yeah, no, I like consuming every way. I would say probably my favorite way, like hands down for like every day, probably joints. I think joints are just, you take your time with them. It's not really something you rush. It's a very like at your pace. And I'm like you, Eagle. I like to finish my joint because I like to get a head change. And I feel like when I smoke half a joint, unless it's like a really big joint, but like my average size joint is usually like, I don't know, probably about a gram or so. Usually I end up smoking all that whole thing. But if it was like 2 or 3 grams, then probably not. But I don't know. I usually finish my joints.
For sure. Just ain't no quitter, man. Just ain't no quitter. I lit it. I thought I could do it. I'm gonna finish.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I
So
love it
you,
when you're smoking on a joint and you get like halfway through and you're like, man, I ain't high right enough. And then you get to like 2/3, 3/4, and you're like, fuck, I'm really high, but I ain't gonna put this out. Might as well finish it.
right,
That's why
right.
that's why I also look for sesquiterpenes. You know, something you can light up and actually get high and put it out and light it up and get that same taste as you did on those first couple hits. But yeah, you got to finish it once you get down there. It's just like, God damn it.
You really do though, because I mean, like, all right, so I feel like when you grow your own flower, usually you have more than your average person that needs to ration it out. I feel blessed enough that I grow my own medicine, and I don't need to ration out my medicine. I smoke when I want to smoke, and I put in a lot of work to do so. So with that being said, right, it's not an issue of like, oh, I got to ration. It's just like you said though, you get halfway and you're like, ah, fuck. I think I might need to roll another one. I'm not stoned yet. And then you hit about 3/4 to 80% in, and you're like, dude, I'm getting pretty fucking lit, man. I could probably put this, fuck it, just finish it. It might as well. Literally every time. Because what are you going to do? When you light that little 20% later, you're going to lose like 5% spark in the fucker. And then you're going to be sparking it all low. When really the whole time you're thinking, I should have just finished this and rolled another one.
Nailed that shit right there. You nailed that shit right there. It's never the same when you pick it up after, you put it out and try it again. Not as flavorful. It's just not the same. Just not the same. Might as well finish it. Now you guys got me all talked into fucking rolling. It's a Tiger King. Tiger King.
That sounds like a cool name. Would you say it's called Tiger what?
Tiger King, just like the show.
Right on. Tiger King. There's a show called Tiger King. Sorry, forgive me for not knowing. Is that show where the guy dresses kind of funny and he's always wearing like the gold chains and he's got like a mullet and shit?
I think so. I haven't watched it, to be honest with you. I know he's like, he tamed tigers and all that
Yeah,
shit.
it's like on. Yeah, I think I've seen a bunch of memes about it. I've never actually seen the show, but I thought that's what you were talking about, right? I just wasn't sure. But all I know is from the memes, that dude looks fucking hilarious the way he dresses with his haircut and whatnot.
Yeah, he's a character, that's for sure. He's in jail for like supposedly killing like the money man behind the zoo he was running there.
Oh no shit.
They say, yeah, Carol Baskins really did. Who was like another partner and some shit. Like I said, I never really watched it, but I don't know. Tiger King just sounded like a fun strain to add in the garden, so I couldn't resist. Huh. And it turned out to be really good. So no forms there. Thank you, White Father. Thank you. I dig it. So you
Growing
gonna
anything?
stop in Michigan anytime too? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sorry, Pepper.
No, it's okay. I was gonna say are you growing anything new or you got anything coming up or anything new you're pheno hunting? Because I know you were talking about the 6-shooter. Is that like your latest and greatest right now?
It's pretty damn good. That's just my first round of that tester from Empire Greenville, and very good. I'm running that, the Citrus Explosion or Citrus Blazer. I can't remember which proper name it is now, but that and the Barbecue Gorilla version 2, and of course I dropped that Colombian from North Star Genetics, which is half the DOA cross, or will be half the DOA cross. And let's see, yeah, that's about the newest move right now. I'm thinking about dropping some seeds, but I'm not sure what. I gotta like dump some shit out, like the newer stuff, and see what's there. But it's time. I got the root right foods. I bought some the other day. I'm ready to pop some new shit.
That's what's up.
Never stop a popping.
That's what's up. Yeah, I just right now finally made it to my room. I pheno hunted this London pound cake like a while back, and I ran into my tent, and I felt like this was the winner, the number 5 out of 23 beans, and the seeds were gifted to me from Smokey 616, and I guess he got them from a resource. I don't know, but all I know is it was cookies, and everybody was like, "Oh, that shit's gonna harm on you," blah blah blah. I'm not gonna lie to you. There's a couple in there that didn't look exactly normal, but for the most part, I think I had I want to say it was like 12 or 13 females out of 23, so solid numbers. But then when it was all said and done, I was down to the last 2 that I was deciding through, and the number 5 was the one I chose. So we'll see how it does this round in the room instead of in the tent, because, well, to be honest with you, in the alpha tent, I fucked that all up, man. And there I burned it. I hit it too hard, too fast. And that was where I was telling you, I'm learning as far as more intense lights. The alpha is more like a facility grid style light. It's not like the Kush, where the Kush is like a spotlight. You could put that son of a bitch 6 to 9 inches off the canopy and not worry about anything and turn it up. And, you might burn your plants a little bit, but it won't be terrible. Like, you'll still do all right. Where the alpha, it's like a 1,000 motorcycle. If you don't respect it, that thing will chew you up and spit you out. I don't know if you guys ever rode motorcycles at all. Sorry, I'm notorious for analogies.
I have a
I used to race
500
dirt bikes.
CBR.
Oh, okay, there you go. All right, cool. So you knew what I was talking about.
It's wonderful to go through the mountains up here on a bike, but it's dangerous as hell to drive. Oh my God, Thais can't drive. They're the worst drivers in the world.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, you've got 11-year-old girls driving scooters with 3 or 4 brothers and sisters on it still. So there's like 5 kids on a scooter. And you see this with the mother and the father and 3 kids too. And you're like, holy shit, there's 5 people on a scooter. So when you see that on TV and pictures, yeah, it's real. It happens all the time.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, I go on a scooter. You're lucky if you get one other person on that scooter with me. I'm fucking big. I couldn't imagine 5 people on a scooter. They must be pretty petite.
And it's a 125 too.
Fucking just like, bah, fucking boarded out and shit, going 35. That's funny.
I don't know. My average speed on the highway is 120 to 140, 150 kilometers an hour. That's another thing about Thailand, northern Thailand. They have radar detectors, or radar guns, I should say, but they don't know how to calibrate them, so they don't use them. I passed the cop the other night coming home from out at a friend's house, and I didn't know it was a cop, and I went past him at $130, and it's only like 50 kilometers an hour right through there, and no lights, nothing like that. It was like, okay, you know, they realized I was flying and they weren't going to catch me.
That's crazy. Because I'll tell you, like, the thing about like American police, or at least the police officers I've had some encounters with, it don't matter if you don't have a radar gun or not. They're usually smart enough to know to pick a certain spot on the road when they're far enough behind where they can look at one point and then time what it takes you to get to another landmark, and they can know the average speed. So say if from this light to that light, it should take you, and I'm using light just as an easy example, 8 seconds, but you get there in 4 seconds, clearly you're fucking hauling ass. So I'm going to pull you over. That's what the cop thinks. And I'll never forget, there was a sheriff that was a regular of mine at this bar that I worked at. And this guy was super cool because I guess I earned his trust. And he just gave me little tips on stuff, and knock on wood, there was good tips. But when he told me that, I was like, are you serious? He's like, we don't give a fuck. We'll pull you over if we can tell you're speeding. And I was like, really? And he gave me that example. And I don't know. I know I never fuck with American police. That's for sure. But you said you were going so fast they couldn't even catch you. It was probably a waste of their time, right?
Yeah, it is. But here's a little thing about that. Cop pulls you over, ask them to see the radar gun. If they don't have it on radar, and most of them are lasers anymore, so they're taking a photo of your cars that's going past with your speed on it. If they can't provide that, then tell them, I don't believe you.
Oh, no, I believe you.
You get out of it.
So, to me, this is the way I've always dealt.
I've done that a couple times in Ohio. That's okay. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I've had to do that a couple times in Ohio.
Yeah. I don't know. For me, I was taught from that sheriff. He said, whatever you do when you get pulled over, you just answer the question, nothing more, nothing less. Keep your hands visible. And when they ask you for your things, make sure they're all organized and put together, and roll down all 4 of your windows to make sure the police officer feels safe. And I remember hearing that. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? And he's like, I'm serious. And I remember the first time I did that, getting pulled over, I had this beautiful Cadillac CTS V that was all gunmetal gray, and it was all blacked out, and the rims were all powder coated to match and shit. It was like probably the nicest car I've ever had in my life. I had to get rid of it because I couldn't afford it anymore. But I got pulled over, and I did exactly what that police officer said. I had my registration, proof of insurance, and I had a photocopy of my driver's license, but I did have my foot driver's license with me, but I put it all in a envelope, and it was on my visor of my car. And when he pulled me over, I had all 4 windows down. I handed him the envelope. So, you know why I pulled you over? I said, no. You know how fast you're going? No. Why? He goes, pay attention to the road. And like, just very like, just answer the fucking question and don't say anything else. And all I gotta say is, you do that, and you just don't get lippy. A lot of times, you might get lucky. At least from my experiences, I try not to piss police off, because when I was a teenager, I was a dumbass and thought I was invincible and got slammed on a couple hoods of police cars.
Yeah, I've got a little problem ever since my accident. I have nerve damage, and I actually take an anti-seizure medication. Like, I'm going to have to take one here soon. But my hands shake like this all the time. So even with having all that together, because I do the same exact thing, you know, the car insurance forms in there, registrations in there, everything he needs to know is
Right.
in that envelope and
Yep.
ready to hand them. Because you're not reaching over to the glove compartment, so you're not reaching for anything. You're prepared, but my hands shake, and that's the first thing they hit on. Why are your hands shaking? And then you have to explain to them, well, when I was 23, I fell 34 feet off the back of a scaffolding. I have nerve damage. If you get me out of the car and you try to give me a sobriety test, just to let you know, my hips are 23 degrees off, so I walk with a limp anyways. So this is going to be a bit difficult. And, you know, being dropped on my head, I have a hard time with ABCs.
Oh, wow. Well,
So I get
I'll
pulled
tell you
out of
now,
the car all the time.
that's crazy. Oof.
That's why I also carry in California and in Michigan my medical cards. My get out of jail free cards is the way I look at it. That's why everybody out there should be carrying a medical card. This also supports the caregivers. The more caregivers they're going to need, because they can't physically take care of a garden themselves. So please go out and get a medical card if you're in a medical state. You know, yes, it may be a little bit pricey, but hey, it's a get out of jail free card is the way I look at it.
Well worth the investment.
Besides that, you get to go into cool fucking dispensaries and shit, and it's just like going to Amsterdam and going to coffee shops is the way I looked at it in California, because there were so many of them back in 2008, 9, and 10 that, you know, it was fun to go around during the day and go to different dispensaries and see what was out there. And a medical card gives you that right. It gives you a discount. It's what, about a 10 to 15% savings in Michigan?
Something like that. I haven't been in the dispensary, never.
Never. I do. I like selling them cologne.
It's been a long time since I've been in one as well, Eagle. I used to go to them from time to time when I lived in California. It was just because they were so convenient, but it was more like when I couldn't get a hold of a friend, or when I just wanted to get something different that I normally didn't get access to, or every now and then I wanted to take a look and see what was out there, like you said, and maybe treat myself and see. I'm like, this looks like some premium wax. Let's try some of this shit. You know, something that I'm not going to get access to all the way. Like For me, the only time I went to a dispensary was more to get like something fancy or something new. Otherwise, for the most part, I had a lot better success as far as value and average quality through like the caregivers that I knew.
And that's the way Michigan is too. The caregivers are great. You show up in Michigan, you need cannabis, you can pretty much just yell out, I need help, I need bud, and someone's got it. It's all over Michigan, which is nice because of them allowing you to grow at home. And like you said, it's nice to sit down and, be able to roll up a gram joint or, go to a party and roll up a half ounce and not worry about it. Why?
Right.
Because this week you're cutting down 2 or 3 plants out of your perpetual garden.
Right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. For me, that's
And I
ultimately
should
why I started
stress,
gardening.
and I should stress those 2 or 3 plants that you're cutting down next week should be a different strain that what you cut down this week. The spice of life people, Eagle's got it right. He runs through stuff. I like to keep stuff, but that's when you end up with 30, 40, 50 different strains too.
Oh, that's an extensive library, that's for sure.
Well, you have to keep strains alive for friends too. That's one thing. If someone gives you a strain, it's like, okay, hey, listen, I'm going to be around for a year or something. Anytime you need a clone of it, anytime you want it back, let me know. And you get it back. You get back 10, 20 clones if you're close. Maybe a couple in the mail, yeah, but if you're close and you need 10, 20, 30 clones of it, let me know. I'll cut them for you. Thanks for letting me have the strain and let me try it out. And hopefully I can do something a little bit different. Like what happened with Eagle. They shared a strain and one was piney and the other one wasn't. Was it just because it came from East Coast to West Coast or Midwest? Who knows? Let's try it out. Just like I want to try out the LEDs compared to the HBS and then mix them probably.
Well, that'll be a fun journey, that's for sure. I think you can achieve great results with both lights. You can't go wrong with either or. It's just more nowadays, it's if you think about like the savings, even though the upfront cost of the LED sometimes can be a bit pricey, but when you look at the overall value of what you spend and what you get out of it and how you don't have to replace so many bulbs and stuff like that, that's pretty great. But also not everybody can start out like that. And I myself, I ran HPS for several years. I want to say it's been going on 2 years now fully that I've been pretty much LED, like 100% LED almost. I want to say it's almost 2 years now. So I don't know. I think it's just like anything. It's expensive when you get started, but Eagle's got a variety of different lights. He's tried all kinds of different ones. He's probably the best resource to pick as far as like what you're trying to look for. If you're looking for like, hey, I want something that's forgiving on height, or hey, I want like a really good coverage, or hey, this is my budget. I mean, hell, Eagle's tried a lot of it lights.
Well, that's the thing. I want to get in there and try these other lights too, and give them a see. And because like you said, I was an HPS, and I've got 8,000 watts sitting back in Ohio, so things are ready to go there. Yeah, I just lost where I was going there. I'm sorry.
You're good, man. You're probably just not sure like what you want to coverage, and like usually 1,000 watts, depending if it's like a single end. A lot of people run those over 4x4s, and a lot of people run DEs over 5x5s even, just because it's a little bit more intense on the PPFD, but it does need to be a little bit higher, and they tend to shine more when you run them in an array, just so you get more cross lighting. Because what's more of a spotlight, where like the hoods and the single ends, you can get I feel a little bit better cross lighting for closer quarters, right? But each one's got its purpose, so it all depends. Like, do you have like double end HPS? Do you have like single end HPS?
Mine are all single.
Right
It's,
on.
most of mine was at least 6 years old now. I've been here in Thailand for a while now.
Okay, so would you say that, like, how big is your canopy, like square footage wise? Like, what's your canopy like? Are you running like, two 8x8s? Like, what are you running? I guess.
I run bedrooms and basements. I don't
So you
run
got 'em spread
tents
out.
unless I'm going to do specific genetics, and then I'll run tents.
You know
And
what you
every
might want to.
basement's got a tent in it.
Yeah, I was gonna say is, what you might want to try is just like try one room instead of like doing them all at one shot, because that could get really pricey really fast. I would probably start out with like one room to replace the fixtures. Like if you had like two 1,000 watt lights in a room, and say you had a 4x8 tray in there, I'd probably start there and see how how you went with it, or how you felt about it. Because I don't know. Though when you go to LED, there is a slight learning curve when you're first getting used to it. But like once you figure it out, there's just like anything, you take off with it.
Well, that's why I had mentioned about adding like the 350. I put one of these LEDs that I've been seeing, which are about 4 feet by 4 feet or so. And then I put the 315s on each side.
That's right. You said that.
That's going to give me coverage of an 8x8 to a 10x10 room, which is basically a bedroom. That was my plan if I went with what Big John was using. That was my thought on
There's a lot of people that have good results mixing CMH and LED, especially because of the UV. That's for sure. I know that Philips makes a great bulb. And then I myself, actually, I have a couple still sitting here. I got a couple 315 Nanolux. And I remember when I used them, they did great for me. I just I think it was a Select Pheno. He's on Instagram. He runs our Region Kales, and he uses the 315s as well. And he has great results. His canopy looks great. Frosty buds look nice and dense. I think you would have great results mixing them up for sure.
Great. That's great to hear. Thank you so much.
Yeah, for sure.
It shows I'm not that old school.
No, the CMH is great, man. The way that I described CMH to people was it's like a more efficient and like super premium spectrum over HPS. Now the thing is, CMH doesn't have the same intensity that HPS has, but for the most part, for what you get in the quality and the spectrum, and it all depends on the way you grow. I've seen a lot of people pull good weight and very good quality bud off of CMHs. So it's like anything. You're gonna have to probably get a couple rounds under your belt with it, dial your genetics into it, set your environment a little bit different, because it'll be like a whole new thing, and you're gonna get to be like, wait, my room's still cool. So I don't know. I think it still do well, because CMHs do get warm, but they don't get like as hot as like an HPS does. An HPS, I don't know. I always ran air cooled hoods myself, just because I felt it was a lot cooler that way.
You know, it just reminded me, when we talk about price, my first room in 1996, I spent like $4,500 on it. You have to remember that 1,000-watt metal halide with a Harlux bulb, you were running about $520 for a unit
Yep.
like that.
That's not including the
And
ballast or the hood.
go out and buy the 8-inch fan with the nylon bearings in it. They run quieter, they last longer. Spend a little bit more money on certain items for your grow room. That way you don't have to worry so much about certain things, like you were talking earlier about, you know, I hit the timer and it went to on and my lights were on all the time. Well, if you have a digital timers, that takes care of that. You know, your fans should always be top quality fans, your exhaust fans, because you never want those to go out on you. You know, there's certain things like you're cooling your CO2, you go out and spend the meters for it, so you're not wasting money just by blowing CO2 continuously. You know, go out and spend some money on your grow room, but there are areas you can cut back on, but definitely spend the money up front. Then you don't have to spend it 6 months, 8 months down the road after a couple crops, where you do have the money to do it, unless you're in that position where you need to have a couple harvests to afford this equipment and then move up to the better equipment. I think all the growers out there that have some experience in it will agree with me.
I agree with you 100%. I think I'll give you an example. You know, I kept buying these, and I hate to say it, but I'm just gonna say it. I kept buying these Vizio Sun little oscillating clip fans, and then they just kept breaking. And I was like, man, what is it? These things? I thought these things were like supposed to be really nice, and they're just cheap pieces of shit. Now, what I really should have done was that I should have did, and I ended up doing this, was just getting a wall mount fan. And then I rigged up my own mounting to the actual tent. And that's how I fixed that situation. And that was actually what ended up working out well for me. But like, I don't know. There's just some things that like you try to cut a corner here in the snare, and you shouldn't cut it, you know? For me, another thing too that I was cutting corners was I kept like bumping more plants in my room and fucking not having the right dehumidification for it. And then I just kept wasting money. And now I got a really nice dehumidifier, and I've noticed huge savings in my power bill. And I should have got that from the beginning, but you know, I didn't know I was gonna go that deep. It was just a rabbit hole that I fell into, and well, that was that. And now I know. So right. But
If I can
you're right.
ask, what size Quest did you get and what did it run you?
I ended up I went up too big on the size. I should have went a size smaller, but I went with the 205. And I ended up paying for it. I want to say like it was like 24 or 2,500 bucks.
Okay.
Yeah, but the 155 would have been just fine. That's what I should have got. But at the time when I got the bigger Quest, I was going off of the irrigation system that I was using at that time, and then now I have a much more efficient irrigation system, and I've saved. I want to say my water costs by like 40 to 45%. It's that much more efficient that I'm not wasting as much. I don't have nearly as much runoff every time. I'm a real big fan of the micro drip. I was using bubblers before, and It's not that they don't work well. It's just I couldn't dial them. I was struggling with them. I wasn't happy with them. Now I've realized this is the better system for me. And well, shit, now I got a really big dehumidifier. So just like anything, shit changes and shit happens, but that's all right. At least you know that when I want it dry, it'll be dry.
That's it. And, you can always go a little bit bigger, you may change back to the system that you were running, or you may change to a deep water culture where you're going to have more perspiration. So you're going to need to take that humidity out of there at times. So, it's really nice to have.
It is. It is. It's just I always just am concerned about like if you go too big with something that it just cycles too many times and then it doesn't. But so far, I will say I got these little devices, the little sensor push, and it tells you like temperature, humidity, and your VPD, and it logs everything for you. And they're pretty cost efficient. They're like $60, and I have a slight swing, but like I had that before even with my portables. It was actually a bigger swing with the portable, but it keeps everything just right. And I could tell, like I can see when the dehu kicked on just by the way it cycles and the dehumidification changes. And from what I'm seeing, I don't think it's terrible. I was really concerned about it before, but I don't think it's terrible because I don't know. It's just I'm in the South, and when you're in the South, I mean it's humid as fuck out here. That's for sure. It's really humid here.
Tell me about humidity.
It's hot as fuck up here in Michigan right now, man. It's actually almost 80 degrees outside right now in North Michigan, which never happens up here, man. I am fucking just sweating my balls off up here, man. I'm fucking.
That's
I
not
can tell
good.
you right now. As soon as I get off the show, man, I'm fucking bringing out the shirt. I could. Well, I'm not going to, but I could. I could bring out this fucking shirt from sitting in here the last few hours. Holy shit! Which means ultimately I'm gonna have to get up early tomorrow to fucking rectify things for tomorrow. Because man, it's supposed to be like this again tomorrow. And ain't no way I'm going for 2 nights for this shit. I don't think the plants can take it, much less me. So
Yeah. What kind of would you, if you said you were thinking about getting an air conditioning unit, what kind of unit would you get, Eagle?
just a wall shaker for now. That's all I need. I think that
Right
would
on.
handle the heat here just fine. Plus, I'm gonna probably go back to the 50-50 method as well. Half the lights during the day, half the lights during the night.
Oh yeah, like you Jack are saying. Yeah, that's right. I mean, that's not a bad idea, 50-50.
That helps immensely drop the heat.
Yeah, even in the wintertime, I can't run lights during the daytime here. It has to be nighttime because of the temperature. But I think where you're at, Eagle, like you said, just a small unit would do you fine because you're only going to use it for part of the year and you can draw cooler air from outside. So, a small unit is perfect in Michigan, especially you moving that far up from where we live. It's a lot colder up there.
Oh yeah, I don't even usually run air conditioning in the house, to be honest with you, because it gets usually nice and cool up here at like 55, 60 usually during the summer months even. So.
Oh wow, that is really nice. Yeah, I wouldn't say that where I'm at. Where I'm at, shit, it gets like 98 to 103 sometimes, and the humidity is like over 90%. It's like gross. You can see it like on the road, like when it's rising from like, especially when you have like a fresh little like rain drizzle. It's pretty nasty. You you ever feel like that point where like you get out of the shower and then like you're trying to get ready and then 5 minutes into getting ready, you're like, fuck, I need to hop back in the shower. This is gross.
I feel like that right now. I feel like that right now, Sergeant.
Yeah, I figured. Yeah, I know that
And
feeling, man. Fuck, it sucks.
in the summertime, I got you beat,
That
brother.
shine.
I take 3 showers a day because in Thailand, it gets a little bit hotter and a lot more humid than that. You know, my humidity is basically 80s and 90s every day.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
that's why I'm outside today, because it's about to rain here. Every day about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, it starts to rain because it cools off and it's rainy season. And Eagle, I'm only 5 degrees warmer than you. It's 85 and a nice little breeze out here today. It's beautiful.
It's different outside. It's not. It's hot as shit in this room right now. Hot as shit in this room. Too hot.
Yeah, but you got beautiful ladies with you, so it should be hot as shit.
Yeah, I'll tell you something that I did to my room actually was it in the spring that I was really excited was I didn't have any insulation in the ceiling because of the location that I had, and then I went in there during the spring and I went to Home Depot and I rented one of those insulation machines. You know, they give it to you for free if you buy enough insulation, right? They rent it to you for free for like 4 hours or whatever. That's all I needed it for, and I had a buddy help me. And then we pretty much made it like fucking R60 up there because we had a bunch extra. And he's like, "What do you want to do? You want to take it back?" And I said, "Fuck it, just keep blowing it." He's like, "Are you serious?" I said, "Fuck it, just it'll end up like working out in the long run." And I will say, like, even when I didn't add my new air conditioning unit in the hallway and in the bedroom, I hardly need to run it as much. But in the summer, oh, you bet your ass I'm running the air conditioning here because it gets fucking hot as shit here. Like, there's no way you can't fucking run your AC here. Like everybody. That's why I remember my wife said, "Aren't you worried about it? Like, having a mini split outside?" And I said, "Try look around. Everybody's got them here. Everybody's got them here. It's hot as balls here."
Is but part of the problem is fucking. I do usually pull in a lot of that exterior air, man, but it's just not pulling at this, and that was what you mentioned there is also part of the problem because earlier about March, I did the same thing. I went blew a whole shitload of insulation throughout the whole house. So that's part of the problem too. Is it's definitely holding more heat, which makes me wonder, geez, how much heat was I losing before to the shingles and shit like that, man? Holy cow!
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about it that way. That is another valid point right there. But at least when you have like your air conditioning it, right? And then like it turns off, well, it won't cycle as much because it's insulated, it'll hold more. So I mean there is value to that, right?
Oh fuck, man!
Oh shit. Look at that phone just that. Perfect timing. Oh man, switch shit. Somebody got to say, will somebody say something so I can tell if I can hear you guys?
I'm
Testing,
sorry,
testing.
Eagle, with the delay. I tried
Hey.
to hold off and would I say, but hey, when I come back, I'll trade you labor for some bottom branches in August. I'll lay some tile for you for a couple days or some hardwood, 3/4 inch impact hammer if you need it. I'll trade for some bottom branches when you go to defoliate.
Right on, right on. Well, we'll look forward to that, man. We'll look forward to that.
Yeah, we don't
Well,
mind
man, I
putting in
got
a little hard work.
good deal. I'm gonna wrap it up, man. I've had a long fucking day, and I gotta get out of this hot ass grill. So,
I don't blame you.
Well,
Thank
thanks
you.
for
Thanks for having
having
us,
me
Eagle.
on, and thanks for having me on, and it was nice meeting you all, and nice meeting you, and thanks for all the information on the LEDs and everything, you know, and all the other little tidbits that you were able to share tonight. And everybody in chat, I love you all, and hope to see a lot of you very soon. Peace.
cheers, Captain.
Cheers, Captain. It was good meeting you, Captain, as
Just
well.
realized that I just realized there's a captain and a sarge, like an army going and shit. Cheers, brother.
Thanks for having me on, Eagle. It was fun, and hopefully I'll come back soon. I'm not working too much, but always great. And thanks for everybody in chat. And I just want to say, everybody have a good night. Cheers.
Cheers, brother. Hope to see you again soon. Well, that does end it for 12.5, the wormhole. I'm sorry, guys. No shout outs tonight, man. I have got to get a shower and some rest. It has been a terribly long day. And obviously, I'm going to have to get up tomorrow early and fix this problem. So hopefully, you'll excuse me and see you tomorrow. You guys know the routine. If this is the end of your journey, please get some rest. If this is the beginning of your day, please have an awesome, prosperous day. Most importantly, try to do something nice for somebody. Random acts of kindness do save lives. I'm a living, breathing example of that.